This is the start of my video series covering the CCNA 200-301. This is intended to be an additional tool for you to use as you study prepared to take the CCNA. This is not intended to be a standalone study material that all you have to do is review this and pass the CCNA, but this is intended to be a tool to go along with it. So now we'll get started. So what exactly is a computer network? If you go to Wikipedia, you're going to see that a computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. Computers use common communication protocols over digital interconnections to communicate with each other. These interconnections are made up of telecommunication network technologies based on physically wired optical and wireless radio frequency methods that may be arranged in a variety of network topologies. Now, I know that's pretty complicated and wordy definition there, but if you break it down to the basics, a computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. So right now you're probably wondering, what exactly is a node? Nodes are any devices that are connected to your network. One example is this router depicted on the screen by this image here. Routers are used to connect devices across the internet from one location to another. A node could also be a switch. A switch allows different devices inside the same network to communicate between each other. A firewall could also be a node. Firewalls help filter traffic between a local network and the internet or the wide area network. There can also be application firewalls on individual devices. For example, the devices you're using to view this video probably has a built-in firewall to it. The client can be any machine that's accessing a service provided by a server. So it can be your phone, your laptop, or desktop. And probably what most people think of when they think of computer networks, a server is also considered a node. There are several other nodes that can be on your network, but these are the basics that we're going to cover for now. Now, at some point in time, you're going to hear the term in-host or endpoints. An in-host or an endpoint can be a client, or in some situations, it can even be a server. The device that's receiving the service or accessing the service is a good way to think about it. So let's walk through putting all this together. So let's say you have two clients, maybe two PCs. Now, standing alone, not connected to anything, there's very little they can do. But if you take a wire and connect them together, you have a small network. Now, in this example, it's not reaching the network, it's not reaching the internet, but it does have its own network connection just between those two devices. Now, you may be thinking, what exactly is a client? Now, a client can be anything from a desktop computer, a laptop, or even your smartphone can be a client, especially if you're using your smartphone right now to view this YouTube video. So let's define a client. A client is a device that accesses a service made available by a server, which then brings into question, what exactly is a server? A server is a device that provides functions or services for clients. Now, you may think your first thought when you hear the term server may be a big data center inside of an organization, but in reality, a server can be anything from a laptop, a desktop computer, your cell phone. It can be any of the clients we listed beforehand, because all a server does is provide a service. So for example, let's say you're on your phone right now and you go to your Facebook app, where your phone reaches out to the Facebook server and asks for the web page for Facebook, and then it sends the web page back to your phone and it says, here's Facebook. So in this relationship, your phone acts like a client and the Facebook server acts like a server. But let's reverse this. All right, let's say Jim airdrops a photo for Jill from his phone. So Jill requests the photo, and then Jim's phone sends the photo, and in this situation, Jim's phone is acting as a server while Jill's phone is acting as a client. So in different situations, client can be both a server and a client, depending on the situation. So looking back at our definition for clients and servers, a client is a device that accesses a service made available by a server, where a server is a device that provides functions or services for a client. And remember, depending on the situation, some devices can be both a client and a server, or a server and a client. So let's say we have two offices. Office A is located somewhere here in the US, and there's two PCs on it. And Office B is located overseas somewhere, and there's two servers on it. And computer A wants to access information from server A. How do these two different networks communicate to each other? So the first step in communication is by connecting the devices to a switch. Now in one office, the computers are hooked up to one switch, and in the other office, the servers are hooked up to another switch, but they still can't communicate across the internet. but they can communicate within their individual LAN. So computer A can communicate to computer A through the switch, and server A can communicate with server B through the switch. But again, they can't go over the internet just yet. So what are exactly our switches? Switches are network devices that have many different network interfaces, so you can connect multiple devices to them, several different devices to them, depending on the switch, is the exact number you can do. Now, switches provide connectivity to hosts that are on the same LAN. Remember, switches cannot talk over the internet, but they can talk to each device that's in that LAN. And again, switches do not provide connections over the internet. So how do these switches connect to the internet? Well, they have to connect next to a router, and then the router will forward that data over the internet. So computer A will make a request for information. It goes over the switch, and then it goes from the switch to the router, and then from the router to the internet. Then when it gets overseas, it gets to that next router, which can be outside the local net, on the edge of the local network, or it can be inside the local network. And this display is on the outside. Then the router sends it to the switch, and then the switch sends it to the right server. And then the server responds in basically the same direction but reversed. The server goes through the switch, then it goes to the router, then it goes over the internet, then it goes to the router on our side of the internet, then it goes to their switch, and then back to computer A. So routers will have fewer interfaces than switches, so you can't connect as many devices to a router. So what you do is you connect the multiple devices to the switch, and then the one switch to the one router. Routers do, however, provide connectivity between LANs. So unlike switches that can only communicate on the LAN, routers can cross over the internet. So what are firewalls? Firewalls monitor and control network traffic based on configured rules. Firewalls can be placed inside the network or outside the network. In this example, both firewalls are outside of the local area network and in between that network and the internet. But in this example, the firewall is in between the router and the local area network. So the firewall is the edge of the internet and the local network. And some firewalls have built-in advanced features to them, and these firewalls are called next-generation firewalls. We'll get into details about what exactly these advanced features are in another video, but for now, if they do more than just firewall filter traffic, they can be considered a next-generation firewall. There are some out there that have built-in VPN functions as well, just to mention one advanced feature that they may have. Everything we've talked about so far are network firewalls, or as I call them, hardware firewalls, and they're actual hardware devices that are plugged into our network and they filter traffic between our networks. But there are also host firewalls, and these are software applications built into devices themselves that filter traffic entering and exiting the host. For example, if you're watching this on a computer at home, you have a firewall built into your computer that's filtering this network traffic going on. So we'll go back to our original question that we started this whole video with. What is a network? A computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. And we briefly touched on how the basic network nodes work together to make up a network. And we touched on how sometimes a client and a server is referred to as an endpoint or end host. And we also touched on how a device could be both a client and a server depending on the situation. Thank you for watching this video. I will have these slides available on my website that will be listed down below. If you found this video useful, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below so you know when future videos come out. If you have a question or comment, feel free to leave it down below, or you can go to my website and send me a direct message. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay curious, stay secure, and I will see you in the next video.